We would like to call this meeting to order. We're going to be led in the invocation by myself and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Nicole Singletary. For those of you that would like to participate, you may stand at this time. Dear God, we coming before you one more time, thanking you for your grace and for your mercy and for your goodness and your kindness upon this great community. We thank you, O Father, for watching over us day by day and helping us, O Father, to do things that are pleasing in thy sight. Help this community to grow. Help for it to prosper. Help us to be a good neighbor to each other, O Father. Help us to do what we should be doing with the town's resources to enhance them, O God, so that we can live a better quality of life. O Father, we ask that you bless the city staff in this community. All these blessings we ask in the precious name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the council members?
Councilmember Richard Cook. Councilmember Nicole Singletary.
Present.
Councilmember Sandra Fleming Crosby.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Billy Brown. Councilmember Wilhelmina Scott.
Here.
Councilmember Peggy Sebney.
Here.
Mayor Anderson, I find there to be a quorum present.
And for the record, Councilmember Councilmember Cook is sick, and Councilmember Brown has a medical appointment in the morning, so he won't be here this evening. Okay, at this time, we need a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Move to adopt. Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor by show of hands. Thank you. Next is an approval of minutes for Tuesday, November 12th, 2019, regular city council meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Thank you. Next item is our public comment period. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person, and no personal or verbal attacks will be entertained. The council is interested in hearing your concerns, but speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on subject matter brought up during the public comment period. Topics requiring further investigation will be referred to the city administration and may be scheduled for a future agenda. Please state your name and address for the record. Floor is open. Okay, if none, at this time, we are ready for our presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We'd like to thank y'all, I'm sorry, just not running through the agenda. Would like to ask that the Lake City Alumni Committee come forward. They have a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I'm Latasha Robinson. I'm the president of Lake City High School Alumni Association. I'm the class of '92. Y'all are moving swift. You kind of caught me off guard. But hey, I'm gonna do what I can with these 2 minutes we got. Ms. Snowden, that's some data right there. What we would like to do first and foremost, we do apologize. First and foremost, because we've been having homecoming events for the last 6 or 7 years, and we would be remiss if we didn't come here and thank you all for allowing us to take the city over, painting it blue and gold. So we thank y'all, and we have certificates of appreciation for each of you, and we came bearing some gifts that Ms. Portia have. So hopefully you find in the bag something that you may like from the Lake City High School Alumni Association. Certificate of appreciation for Mayor Loveth Anderson. We appreciate you. And this reads, certificate of support and appreciation presented to your name. We salute our educators. That was our 2019 slogan. 2019 homecoming weekend, October 10th through the 13th. This is for Ms. Stephanie Snowden. We appreciate you. Ms. Wilhelmina Scott. Thank you. Councilwoman, Ms. Wilhelmina Scott. And of course, you have the bag we want to present to you. Councilwoman Peg Sednick, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Councilman Richard Cook. Councilwoman Sandra Fleming Crosby. We thank you. Councilwoman Nicole Singletary. I didn't know you was coming. Councilman Billy Brown.
He's out. I'll get it.
Okay, thank you. And we have a few here for Lake City Police Department, Lake City Fire Department, and Florence County EMS. We appreciate y'all. As we bring more than 3,000 people to town
Thank you, ma'am.
every year. We appreciate all the work you do in Florence County EMS. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we do have some copies of this data.
No, go ahead.
We have copies of the data, but we can go through the data. All right, if you look on your screens, we have a homecoming weekend of events, homecoming data for 2019. The students usually have a parade on that Thursday, but they did not have a parade. They combined it with Lake City High School Alumni Association. And so we love when they do that. So they combined the parade that Saturday with us. And so that Friday, October 11th, as you can see, Lake City High School had a homecoming student achievement summit where you will find the estimated attendees in the middle column. And then, of course, a pep rally where you will see over 1,700 people participated in that. And after that, the Alumni Association had a soul show, and we had about 60 people participate in that. And at the football game that night, you see where it was upwards to almost 3,000 people at the game. And as we move forward through the weekend, Saturday, which is Alumni Day, the homecoming parade had about 65 units. Estimated attendees within those units about 225, where it was a combined parade with Lake City High School Alumni Association and Florence County and Lake City High School and Florence County School District 3 and the city of Lake City. Homecoming Parade 2019 estimated attendees, alumni units, 325 people. That include brand marshals, alumni classes, small businesses, and groups. And the community and surrounding areas, the patrons at the parade. Those totals are upwards to 2,300 people participating. War Memorial Stadium Alumni Day. 3,000 people within the stadium. Estimated attendees for Sunday service, 330 people. And you will see a sum of average of attendees over a 3-day weekend. We did not use a 4-day weekend because the event for that Thursday did not happen. So when we average that out, you have more than 10,000 people moving through this town that weekend. And we average that out to more than 3,000 people a day over a weekend. So we ask that the city of Lake City do all we can to utilize this amount of people over a homecoming weekend or event. You see some footnotes there as well. We have more than 2,500 people on Facebook. This data does not take into consideration for people who check in on social media, going live, and all of that. So I thank y'all for that. One last thing, we want to present the city with this frame logo. We tried our best to get flag poles and put a flag up at all the schools in the city, but that didn't work because it costs a lot of money. And so Yolanda, she's with our membership, class of 86, and this is Portia Brown. She's with our finance committee, class of 93.
And our mission statement reads, it is the mission of Lake City High School Alumni Association to provide alumni with the opportunity to have a positive impact through collaborative partnership with Florence County School District Number 3 schools, communities, students, and businesses to build a stronger community.
On behalf of mayor and council and the citizens of this community, we gracefully accept this. And we certainly appreciate you all coming.
Yes, Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.517, second and final reading. And this is an ordinance for the city of Lake City establishing approval for the acceptance of grant funds from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety in connection with body-worn cameras. This is a grant and there is no obligation, financial obligation on the part of the city.
Okay, the floor is now open for approval of ordinance 2019.517 for its second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.517, second and final reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by a show of hands?
Okay. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.518, second and final reading. As an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, establishing approval for the acceptance of grant funds from Palmetto Pride in connection with the litter prevention grant and other matters related thereto. This is associated with the community-wide cleanup that Ms. Benjamin, Clerk Benjamin actually manages, and it's a grant, I think, anywhere between $4,000 to $10,000.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.518 for the second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.518, second and final reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by a show of hands?
Okay. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.519. This is an ordinance, its second and final reading, and it's an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, establishing approval for the acceptance of grant funds from the South Carolina Municipal Insurance Trust in connection with law enforcement officer safety grant, specifically the soft body armor cost-sharing program. And there is no financial impact to the city, and this would be a good thing for our police department to make sure that our officers have the soft body armor.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.519 and for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.519.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by a show of hands?
Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.520, second and final reading. This is an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, amending our budget, our FY20 budget, to transfer approximately $25,000 from the general fund balance to add an additional patrol officer position to the Lake City Police Department. As you know, we are halfway through the budget, and so this position would be addressed during the normal budget process, but given the needs that the police department has, we actually need to have an additional officer. We'll start helping Chief Kip build up the department.
Thank you. The floor is now open to approve ordinance 2019.520 for a second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.520.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by a show of hands?
Okay.
How soon do we anticipate hiring this officer?
Well, the chief can come and speak to that, but it is a process because you want at all possible to hire officers that are already certified, but I know a lot of the applicants, because then that means that they don't have to go through the academy again, they can hit the ground running. But a lot of the officers that we are getting, or applicants, don't necessarily already have the training, but the chief can speak to it. I mean, it is a process.
Yeah, the process we have, we put it out in the public and advertise the position. And that's for uncertified and certified officers, whichever applies. If an uncertified officer applies, well, each individual that applies goes through a process like a hiring board. Between the fire department and the police department, we have a hiring board of, I think it's like 7 or 8 folks, and they go through that process. And then once they clear that process, then they interview with me and Chief Driggers. But prior to that, they have to take a test, a physical, did numerous things, so
He's
it's
nosy, he goes to their homes and makes
yes,
sure
we
that
do
they're
home
good
visits,
people.
we sit down with them and their family. We talk to them and try to get, not just only folks that can be police officers or firemen, we try to get good people for the city. So it's a lengthy process, but certified officers, you know, they kind of move a little quicker because they're already certified.
Okay, what's the average, approximate time for the?
But just like now, we have a few openings now. Interviews are set up for this week and next week. But prior to those interviews, we do home visits. We do, you know, checking their backgrounds and previous
So maybe a
employers.
month or so,
It's an average, yeah, I would say somewhere around a month. And that's on, everything works smoothly.
It just takes time, and every agency and every part of the state is trying to actually find good people to be officers.
And that's the big thing. You may get 100 applicants, but you got to make sure, you know, you get the right applicant to make, you know, to take care of the citizens of Lake City. So that's what we're trying to do, not just hired heads. We're trying to get good quality folks.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay. Ordinance 2019.522, first reading, an ordinance of the city of Lake City, South Carolina.
2-1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Ordinance 2019.521, second and final reading. This is essentially the ordinance that you all approved for the Daniels Well project. This is where the Florence County is actually going to reimburse the city for the cost of the materials. We had some county residents who actually had their wells run dry. So I saw Mr. Sims, but his team is actually going to be, I think, digging up, installing the water line in. And so this is the approximate cost, and this will be reimbursed. The Florence County Council actually approved this a couple of months ago, and we have their resolutions and ordinance so that we'll be able to recoup our funding.
Okay, so that's ordinance 209.522. We'll come back to.
It's a Scrivener's error. 521 should be an ordinance of the city of Lake City relating to the amendment of Lake City Municipal Code 17-2.6 for delinquent payment of bills, and 17-2.17 for restoration of water service following disconnections for non-payment. And it's on page 23 of your agenda packets.
Yeah, we have it on the script. She
Yeah,
just did
it was an error on my part on the PowerPoint. So it's 521, and that's for the water service.
Okay, which is item number 6 on the agenda, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you see,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so essentially what this ordinance is doing is making it a little easier on our citizens in that we're not allowing them to get to a point where they are 3 months behind on water bills. So it will actually help tighten it up, but helping people not get too far behind in requiring in what we're doing right now. So,
Okay. The floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.521 for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.521.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor by show of hands.
Okay, ordinance 201.522, this is the ordinance that essentially would cover the materials for the Daniels Road project.
Floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.522 for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.522.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
All right, Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.523. This is an ordinance that would allow us to continue with the services for Green Finney. That is our auditor, so we are bringing this to you with the recommendation that we approve the contract to enlist the services of Green Finney.
Okay, floor is now open for approval of ordinance 2019.523 for its first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.523 for the first reading. Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
Okay. Mayor and Council, this ordinance is a little bit technical, but essentially ordinance 2019.524 on first reading essentially will allow us to actually take in revenues that were not budgeted for the Recreation Department. And this has to do with the Halloween celebration. And our Finance Director, Mr. William Hall, is doing a good job of making sure that our budget stays clean. So essentially, we have to be able to account for the revenues and the expenditures for the diligence of Ms. Millette and actually getting sponsors for that event. So this would just allow us to actually realize it in our budget with generally acceptable accounting principles.
Floor is now open for approval of ordinance 2019.524 for its first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.523, first reading. 24, first reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
Okay, all right. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.524 on first reading. This essentially, 525. So ordinance 2019-525, first reading. This deals with the public hearing item, with the rezoning of tax map number 80015090001 at the corner of North Church Street and Charles Street. This is by applicant Retha B. Brown is requesting permission to rezone the property from neighborhood business to R3. And again, the only thing that we are dealing with tonight is the actual rezoning of the property. Prior to any construction of any residential housing, there would have to be a site plan that would have to go through not only Chief Triggers and our building official, and but it would have to also go before the planning commission.
Floor is now open for approval of first reading of ordinance number 209.525.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.525, first reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
Okay. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.526, first reading. This essentially, again, is also an issue of accounting and reimbursing the general fund. The general fund essentially has paid for drug money, seized funds, as well as the firemen's 1% accounts. And this is, we're requesting a reimbursement of the general fund from these accounts. And to Mr. Hall's credit, he has actually put some measures in place where we won't have to do this again. It's not that there was anything per se wrong, but it just makes things cleaner. He's doing a very good job of making sure that what needs to run, everything essentially runs through our software system rather than having to be cutting manual checks.
Floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.526 for first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.526, first reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Are there any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the next ordinance, 2019.527. This is essentially requesting that some of our funding, which is currently in CDs, be moved to the South Carolina Local Government Investment Pool. This will make it better for the city to, I'm sorry. Do you have a question?
Got the wrong page in there.
Yeah, I got the wrong page.
Got the wrong page.
Oh, okay.
This pertains to the CDs.
Yes, this is 2019.527, but this,
Mine stopped at 526.
Yes. 527.
this is ordinance 527, but, this is in the amount of $793,000 and 793,576.49. So this CD is maturing, and we want to put this in the South Carolina Local Government Investment Pool at the State Treasurer's Office. We would have access to the funding, but we need to look at moving our funds so that we can get a better interest rate by pulling the funds.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.527 for first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.527, first reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Are we ready for questions? I think just clarification, this is to make sure that we're putting them all in one spot instead of
Yes.
having them sporadically all around town.
Yes, and it would make for a better interest rate on the city's money, and then also, it's not tied up, but it's making it's a better investment for the city.
Every turn.
Yes, these were some of the recommendations that the former CFO made, and we are now just in a position to begin doing this.
Okay. All right, all those in favor by show of hands? Okay.
Okay. We're now at resolutions. Resolution 2019.353, a resolution of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, and Safe Built LLC for the approval of contractual renewal for services rendered and other matters thereto. As you will recall, in this early part of last year, we actually employed the services of Safe Built. They are doing a lot of our site review. They have the technical expertise to help support us. The contract has not been exorbitant. It's been, I think, under $7,000, and we would like to continue, because while we certainly have some expertise on staff, Safe Built has about 15 inspectors, and when there are large projects, we have a multifamily apartment complex coming on Kelly Street and other projects. They have some of the commercial expertise to ensure that we are abiding by state codes, state building codes.
Okay. The floor is now open for a resolution to approve resolution 2019.353.
Move to approve resolution 2019.353.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or concerns? If none, all those in favor by show of hands?
Check out part 2, Lake City Council meeting.